How do you tell the story of a city like Houston? What images do you choose? What sounds? What words can convey what makes Houston unique? And more importantly, who can best tell that story in a way that captures the imagination of someone and makes them want to travel and experience Houston for themselves? Hello, I'm Deborah Duncan. These are just a few of the questions that the Greater Houston Convention and Visitors Bureau, the organization responsible for marketing and selling Houston, asked when developing a campaign for Houston. It was a daunting task that was more than 5 years in the making, but in the end, the answers were quite simple. The best way to tell the story of Houston is to let the city's celebrity sons and daughters talk about what they love most about the city and how it inspired them. And so they did. The result? Houston's most successful ad campaign ever. This is the story of how it all happened.
Marketing a City, the making of the My Houston campaign. With your host, Deborah Duncan.
There are so many things that make Houston unique. For starters, it's the fourth largest city in America with a world-class medical center, museum district, and thriving arts and cultural scene. So where does the story of our city begin? Like any good story, with an interesting challenge.
I think before, there really wasn't an identity for Houston. It wasn't that people thought negatively about it, it's that they didn't know what exactly to think. As the largest city in Texas, and the fastest growing city in Texas, and as the most economically sound city in Texas, and as the culinary and cultural capital of Texas, Houston is in a position all its own. I will never forget, we were sitting in City Hall having a production meeting, and one of my associates and I were sitting there along with our producer and said, you know, I want people to understand my Houston. I don't know why we can't just show them my Houston. It's not a cliche phrase. It's not trying to sell a slogan. It's communicating what we all know to be true. We knew that we were onto something. When we were first communicating that we were gonna have a celebrity come in that didn't know what questions we were gonna ask and was gonna receive no payment for what they're talking about, and we were gonna have one shot and one take, and develop a campaign around that, people looked at me like maybe I'd lost my mind. You know, we were very fortunate to be able to get a diverse group of personalities to talk about Houston. Lyle Lovett, Jim Parsons, Chandra Wilson, ZZ Top, and we stalked them. Whenever a celebrity talks about a destination or talks about a product in general, certainly there's a lot of credibility. But the difference between the My Houston campaign and some of the other celebrity-based destination campaigns that we've seen is that it's all reality-based. Those inflections are laughters. There are lines that they say that we would have never scripted.
I saw more horses in New York than I ever saw in Houston. And frankly, partly because of the time of my life, I saw more art in Houston than I ever saw in New York.
But it comes off as so real and so endearing that you can see it in their eyes. You can see it in the way that when they talk about Houston, the real love that they have.
I do miss Astroworld, though, I must say. When I tell people I'm from Houston, the first thing they ask me is it really hot down there? And I say, yes. Yes, it is.
When we shot Chandra Wilson, it was at the Houston High School for Performing and Visual Arts. To see her interact with the students was something that I will never forget. What we're doing today is taking what we know about the city and the destination attributes, and we're selling it nationally. We're targeting New York, we're targeting Chicago, we're targeting Washington, we're targeting media hubs. Houston has so many different aspects that you, at some time, don't know exactly what to promote. That's a great problem to have. It's a pretty amazing city.
Enough said right there. I'm Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top.
I'm Dusty Hill, I play bass.
And Frank Beard on drums.
Ray Charles in his autobiography said if you want to put a great band together, go to Houston, Texas. My name's Lyle Lovett. I was born and raised in Houston, Texas. Houston has everything to offer. It's great to be able to go into town and see the symphony or the ballet or a great museum.
I'm Jim Parsons. I'm an actor. I consider myself so lucky to have grown up in Houston. It was so beneficial to me as a person in general, but very specifically as an actor.
Hey, I'm Chandra Wilson, and I'm an actor. I play Dr. Bailey on Grey's Anatomy, which I hear is doing pretty well. Houston is home because that's where everything that's familiar to me is.
I've had an opportunity to live wherever I want to live, but for some reason, like a homing pigeon, something calls me back to Houston.
I'm Chloe Dow. I'm a designer and owner of La Duke Boutique and winner of Season 2 Project Runway. Without being here, I don't think I could do it. The city's so supportive of young designers.
I'm Brian Chang, professional soccer player for the Houston Dynamo. Houston's perfect for soccer in the sense that it is so diverse. And that's one of the things I've loved about this city from day one.
We have so many nationalities in Houston, and between all the different neighborhoods and all the different kinds of food and all the different kinds of entertainment, it's really, really eclectic.
Something for everyone. Doesn't matter who you are or where you're from, you're going to find a corner of this city to say, that's my town.
And I always end up talking about the music scene here. Archie Bell and the Drills, Beyonce, and of course that little band from Texas, ZZ Top.
A lot of places to go to hear great music of all different types.
It always seems to come back to music and Mexican food.
I like to eat, I have to admit, and I love to go to restaurants in Houston.
Well, a lot of people don't understand. If they come to Houston, they're going to find a city that's filled with great restaurants. It's the home of nice food.
In the arts, Houston is respected the world over.
Houston has one of the most significant museum districts in the country. There's literally hundreds of museums throughout the city.
It's a big city, and I don't think people realize how big it is. There's so much going on that there's always something new to do and always something new to experience.
I like to go to all the sporting events. I like the golf, 365 days a year.
The Houston fan, they can go to any sport they want, and you get to see the different games at the highest level.
So many things to be proud of. The medical center, Rice University.
The shopping scene is amazing here. 14 million square feet of retail. All the luxury stores are here.
The city is made up of the people that live in it, and I think that feel of this city is friendly and warm, and it's something that everybody should experience.
If I had one wish for Houston, I hope it doesn't change.
It's a wonderful town.
I'm Chandra Wilson, and this is My Houston.
I'm Jim Parsons, and this is My Houston.
I'm Chloe Dow.
And this is My Houston.
Enough said right there. We're ZZ Top,
And this is our Houston.
Did you know that Houston is the most culturally diverse city in America? Even more so than Los Angeles and New York City. And with those diverse cultures comes diverse cuisine. Everything from Asian, Indian, Mexican, Cuban, Italian, French, deli, and of course we can't forget barbecue. It's no wonder that Houstonians eat out more than residents of any other city, and with more than 11,000 restaurants to choose from, it also makes Houston a prime destination for visitors worldwide. Following the city's successful My Houston broadcast campaign, the Greater Houston Convention and Visitors Bureau recently launched a print campaign showcasing many of Houston's most innovative chefs and key tastemakers, talking about why Houston is now a culinary destination. The ads were featured in national editions of the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times, and regionally in Texas Monthly, Forbes, and Fortune magazine. Some of the featured chefs shared why it's important that Houston is also known as tasty.
Houston is tasty. There are so many good places to eat here. If you're hungry, it's your own fault.
I went to culinary school here, came down here, and thought I would move away and go travel, and I decided that wasn't it. I decided I wanted to work here and work my way through Houston, and then I just fell really in love with it. And it's just the accessibility of products and farmers and ranchers and seafood and just cultures, and it's like, this is where I want to be. You can pretty much have anything, whether you want dim sum, or if you want to go have pho at 3 in the morning, or if you want to go eat live octopus at midnight, you can do that all here. I don't think other towns in the South have the diversity in cultures that we do. That's what brings it to this city. You can go anywhere. You can try all these different things, and whether I think Dallas has a strong Korean, but they don't have the Vietnamese. They don't have the stronger Chinese or the Indian. Austin, kind of the same thing. They just have a little bit of everything. This city was the driving force behind the ideas and the things that we do here at Underbelly, whether it be just a taste of something that you run on Long Point or down in Bel Air, or just anywhere in this city. Whether it could be Salvadorian, it could be Mexican, it could be Indian, it could be Thai, it could be all these cultures that we have in this city. It brings it back into this menu. I do feel that it's important for the chefs in this city to pound the chest, if you would, about Houston. Because right now there's so many eyes that are looking into this city from places that didn't really normally know us. I think we should all be the platforms, and I think we should all pound it and talk about Houston as much as possible.
I think that there's something that is really creative and rewarding about the hospitality industry. And while I love cocktails and love serving food, it's the relationships that you build with people that are really, really nice. And I like to tell people all the time, I'll serve 1,000 cocktails a year to people who are on first dates or might end up marrying that person someday or something else. And I think that restaurants and bars really just play this integral role into what our community is. I just think it's a wonderful city to live in. We have all of these great things that a large city offers, but still a small town feel. And I think that that's what makes our city really special. Well, I think that one of the problems that Houston has actually had until the last decade is that we were trying to build spaces from other places in our own city. And I think over the last decade, we'd really have grown into our own skin, so to speak. And now we're comfortable building spaces that represent what it's like to be a Houstonian. We offer so much more. And I think that Austin is a great city, but I think that it really exists at just this one level where everything is getting to be very similar there. And I would say the same thing about Dallas. San Antonio is a great city, and so is New Orleans. But I think that in Houston, there's something for everybody. And I don't think that you can say that about any city in the South, really. Well, what I always found odd when I lived outside of Houston was how little people actually knew about our city. And I think it's odd that the fourth largest city in the country often isn't a participant in conversations about our cultural fabric. When you get your check at the end of the meal, you actually get a list of restaurants that inspire us that we'd like you to visit. And I think that that's a really good way of saying that if you've enjoyed our food and you've enjoyed our perspective on the Houston dining scene, then maybe you should try some of the things that we appreciate as well, because there's probably some commonality there, even if you find them a little intimidating initially. And so that's how we do it at our restaurant. But I think that for people who are coming in from out of town, the one thing that they really need to do when they visit Houston is be more curious. They say that curiosity kills the cat, but I think in our city it's the other way around. I think it's rewarding. I was born and raised in Houston, and I just think it's a wonderful city to live in.
Cooking just really is a craft while still letting you be creative and get in touch with the artistic side. So while still being able to be a laborer and work with your hands, you're able to create things, hopefully that are really beautiful. I always wanted to open up a restaurant in my hometown, and it has such beautifully diverse different growing seasons. As far as a very long growing season, it has very distinct vegetables and products that come from here. Also different cultures, and then obviously pulling from the Gulf is a huge plus for Houston. But it's always been a great place to eat. It's regarding all the ethnic food and all the older restaurants that are here, it's always been one of those places where the eating culture and the food culture has always been huge in Houston. Oxheart is a very startling name, and that is sort of somewhat meant to be. But the actual meaning is just showing the focus between both vegetables and meat. Obviously, the ox heart is the heart of an ox, so focusing on the meat protein. But then ox heart is also a varietal of carrot and tomato and cabbage. So it's also, focusing on that vegetable cookery too, which we do a lot of at the restaurant. Houston has lots of different pockets and neighborhoods that have so much to offer. It's just a matter of getting out there and exploring. You'll definitely find all sorts of places you'd love to eat at.
There's so many great places to have breakfast. Yeah, it's really hard to, depending on what time you want your day to get started. But it really is hard to beat the Huevos Rancheros at Andy's in the Heights, and they're man. Oh, come back to me. You're making me hungry.
I'm Monica Pope, and I'm a chef in Houston, Texas. Well, it's a great food town, but I just think it's a pioneering town.
Growing up in Houston, growing up on the Gulf Coast, you're exposed to a lot of different types of restaurants.
Houston is a very international city, and it's got it all.
There's food from all over the world in Houston.
Get a chance to visit Houston, you're going to find a city that's filled with great restaurants.
That's really the tip of the iceberg of what goes on in Houston.
Houston's a great town, great people, great art, great food. It's a different kind of city.
I mean, why go anywhere else?
No story of Houston would be complete without talking about music and the arts.
My name is Gonzo247. I'm a full-time graffiti artist here in the city of Houston. As an artist, I'm inspired actually by everything around me and the people the everyday person here in the city. Everything about the city inspires me, just the food, the culture, the music. There's so much to be inspired from by Houston. I mean, there's just too many to say, really. I wanted to be a part of the Houston Is entire campaign. I was asked to be a part of it, and I was very honored to be associated with it. And I thought it was important to show that Houston was as diverse as it is in the art scene, especially myself being a street artist, you know, in order to show that Houston can compete with LA, New York, and Chicago, and all these other great cities. You know, there had to be that kind of representation to say Houston's cool enough to know about what's going on the street on this level, and for me to be included, it was definitely an honor. When visitors come to Houston, I really hope they're inspired by everything that makes Houston so cool. The food, the music, the entertainment, and we got just everything a major city should have, and we do it to the best and the fullest. I think anyone that comes to visit the city is going to leave with a great impression of it. So the more you experience, the more you kind of go outside, you know, just kind of venture out, you find a lot of really great little tokens all across almost every neighborhood has its own little secret. So it's almost like you have to really spend some time and just go out and discover it for yourself.
I'm Naoko Suzaki. I'm a ballet dancer.
She's a beautiful dancer. My name is Connor Walsh, and I am a principal dancer with the Houston Ballet.
When you dance with him, he makes you feel like you're the only person.
It's a very large company, 5th largest for the United States. Great range of classical and contemporary.
I feel a very close connection with the Houston audience.
Great supporters of dance. We have an exciting new director who's a choreographer as well. A very exciting time for us.
私は楠崎直です。
I'm Connor Walsh.
これが私の Houston.
And this is my Houston.
With more than 500 cultural, visual, and performing arts organizations, Houston is a city where the arts take center stage. Everything from the classics to innovative dance, theater, and music. Houston native Beyonce got her start singing in her mother's Houston hair salon. Emmy-nominated actress Chandra Wilson took dancing and acting lessons at Theater Under the Stars and later in Montrose at the High School for the Performing and Visual Arts.
No matter where I end up, no matter where I'm working or where I currently am living with my family, Houston is always my home. I'm still very flattered that you know, I'm able to represent my city. That's really cool.
Hey, I'm Chandra Wilson, and I'm an actor. I play Dr. Bailey on Grey's Anatomy, which I hear is doing pretty well. Houston is home because that's where everything that's familiar to me is. HSPVA allowed me to experience a great deal of creative success. It's the place where you get to let your imagination soar. It builds your character, it builds your self-esteem. I'm Chandra Wilson, and this is my Houston.
In 1969, a little-known group performed in local bars and venues such as Fitzgerald's before earning 11 gold and 7 platinum records as the legendary band ZZ Top, who are more than happy to sing Houston's praises.
I'm Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top.
I'm Dusty Hill. I play bass.
And Frank Beard on drums. Ray Charles, in his autobiography, said if you want to put a great band together, go to Houston, Texas. When we got started, they said, well, you need to go to California or New York to make it. And we went, no, we don't. We're going to stay here.
Houston's got that flavor with the food, with the people.
Enough said right there. We're ZZ Top,
and this is our Houston.
Another musician featured in the My Houston campaign, Lyle Lovett, is proud of his Houston roots and how the city has inspired his music through the years.
My Houston is my home, and there's not another place I'd rather be.
It means so much to me.
When My Houston called to ask me to be part of the campaign, I just remember feeling really honored that the city, my home, the place that I grew up, would think that I might be worthy to help represent it to the rest of the world. And to be included in such great company, to be in the same spot with some of my music heroes like ZZ Top, that's a real thrill. ZZ Top is always great. Dusty Hill and Billy Gibbons have been so kind to me personally over the years and have provided me with such encouragement. Houston's one of the world's great cities. You can find whatever you're looking for in the city of Houston. I live on the same piece of ground that my great-great-grandfather came to in 1849, and You know, I can walk out in the pasture and stand under an oak tree that I used to stand under with my grandfather, and you know, that means something to me. Houston is inspired.
Marker.
Houston is inspired. Houston is a dynamic place. You can't help but be active when you're in Houston. You know, just driving from one side of the city to the other engages you in everything that's going on. It's the people in Houston who've inspired my music. People who were kind enough to come listen to me. The music scene in Houston encourages original expression. Anderson Fair Retail Restaurant, where we are right now, is home to me and my music. Anderson Fair is the first place that I was ever able to play a set of my own songs. Tim Leatherwood and Roger Ruffcorn booked me the first time here at Anderson Fair. I spent so many wonderful nights here and late nights that went into the next morning. I love being able to come back, and you know, you can feel all that when you just look around. Its owner, Tim Leatherwood, who has dedicated his whole life to keeping this place open. Performers like Eric Taylor and Nancy Griffith and Robert Earl Keane, who lived in the Houston area, who were from Houston, who played here. National performers like Guy Clark and Townes Van Zandt, who had lived in Houston, but who always made a point of coming back to town to play Anderson Fair. Being able to associate with people who inspire you and who do work that inspires you, I think is the most important thing you can do. Houston's the kind of place that's a nice surprise for people who haven't been here. You know, they might have an impression of Houston, but when they come, they have a chance to see what Houston is really like. You know, the thing that I hear most often from first-time visitors to Houston is how great the people from here are and how they're made to feel at home by the people of Houston. You know, that makes me extra proud to be from here. I just know that being here from Houston, I felt a great deal of encouragement from the community itself, the city itself. People supported me when, you know, they really had no good reason to support me, you know, just because they did, and it made a tremendous difference to me in my life. There's so much opportunity here in Houston. If you're a young musician starting out, there are places to play, and there are people who will listen to you, and more than that, you can't ask for. I tell you, it's the greatest feeling in the world to be able to do something in your life, every day of your life, that you enjoy doing.
I'm Lyle Lovett, and this is My Houston.
There is also a very hip side to Houston, from fashion to indie rock.
Hi, I'm Chloe Dow. I'm a fashion designer and entrepreneur, boutique owner in Houston, Texas. Why did I ultimately decide to do this campaign for the city? It's always, why not? If you're asked, if you love the city, you know, anybody who asked me to represent the city, I totally would, because, you know, I can easily talk about it. I could live in New York, I could live in LA, I could live in Paris, but I choose Houston because I truly love the city, and I think that's what really exudes when we speak of it. The city's awesome, it's cool. I think the worst misconception of Houston is that we're not sophisticated and we're not well-traveled, and I think it's so completely wrong. As a designer, Houston inspired me. I think the fashion here, the ladies, of course, because I know how well-traveled, so in a way they're inspiring me and challenged me. And of course, in a strange way, the weather. Houston is hip.
Hi, my name is Osley. Houston is hip. Houston is hip because of the people, it's hip because of the art, it's hip because of the fashion, it's hip because of the music. Houston is hip because it's confident, Houston is hip because it's sexy, Houston is hip because it's fun. I'm in an indie band, so I typically kind of run around with a lot of other indie bands. But even within that genre, there are so many different subsets. You have like Buxton, who's kind of more Americana indie, and then you have like Wild Moccasins, who are just like pop indie. And then from there, I mean, you know, Houston's known for its rap, for its Tejano music. I mean, it's just a really diverse scene. Like, you have to just be very confident and sure of yourself to be hip. And I think as a city, Houston is very confident. I try to be, I hope I am. My Houston is inspired. Being in the music scene, I started my first band when I was 14. You kind of grow up with a lot of the same people, and I think that's the place where I've drawn most of my inspiration. There is a huge sense of community in Houston. And just kind of like being around people that I know and that I love and seeing them grow up in Houston, surrounded by Houston. That's what a lot of my music is about. Houston's cool. I think because Houston doesn't have like a huge music scene, it really does treasure, you know, the musicians that it has. Houston has a lot of hidden gems. I can go see amazing art and not have it be unbelievably crowded. I can sit in a gorgeous park and not have to worry about getting trampled by a ton of people. I think that's just what makes Houston really hip right now, is that there are a lot of great things going on just underneath the surface, and it's really great to be a part of it. Houston is hip. No, I'm just kidding.
The story of Houston is designed to be shared with the world. That is the goal of the Greater Houston Convention and Visitors Bureau, now celebrating 50 years. Whether you are new to Houston, a native Houstonian, or visiting for the very first time, our city has so much to offer. So take the time to explore it. You won't be disappointed.